Yes, back again with another Command & Conquer video, and this time we're going to be using Chatgbt to bring to life my vision, or if I had the ability to create a new Command & Conquer game, what would I do today? So if you're like me and you're a massive Command & Conquer fan and you've been waiting for them to bring out something revolutionary, then this is how I would create a Command & Conquer game, and I used Chatgbt to help bring to life exactly what my thought process was. Now, before we just jump into what Chatgbt said, I just want to say that I think that the current position, specifically with Command & Conquer, is that although those games were really good and the campaign has a good reason to visit a Command & Conquer, eventually strategies and metas get formed and then the games get stale for online and multiplayer. Specifically, if you want to play ranked or anything like that, which is a bit of a shame, and there's only so many times you can smash the comps up, the computers, with mates or on your own, and then obviously you go online and you'll have a good fun for a while, and then eventually the game sort of starts to get a bit stale until they do an update. And I think what keeps games alive today is their ability to be able to provide more content or more randomness or stuff that makes every single game feel new and unique every single time you play it. If you think about League of Legends, yes, the map's the same, yes, the objective is the same, but all the different champions that you can play and the roles that you can play and the way that you synergize together as a team keeps that game fresh. If you think about a battle royale like Fortnite, yes, the skins are a massive reason to want to visit that game. There's YouTube channels based off of just skin collection alone, and so they've built up a huge library there, so you can customize your character, and your character is the same as everybody else's. You can just have it look different, so that keeps it feeling fresh. And then obviously they're doing updates all the time, changing the guns around, updating it, that type of stuff. So there's lots happening in that space to keep that fresh. It's not the same. Any game that stays the same or creates a meta that people get tired of, it gets bored. And I feel like people are less forgiving these days when it comes to RTSs, hence why there's a huge influx in city builders and stuff like that. But anyway, we digress. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. So I said to Chatgbt, give me a script for how a new Command & Conquer game could be built in the style of a battle royale, but still an RTS and have random effects and or random map generation that would keep people engaged and relight in the RTS genre. Chatgbt said, creating a new Command & Conquer game with the battle royale twist while revigorating the RTS genre would be an exciting endeavour. Below, I've outlined a high-level script for such a game, combining elements of traditional RTS gameplay, battle royale mechanics and dynamic elements to keep players engaged. The title would be Command & Conquer Battle Royale. The title is Command & Conquer Battlefield Royale. The concept, Command & Conquer Battlefield Royale, combines the classic real-time strategy elements of a CNC series with the dynamic and competitive nature of Battle Royale games. The goal is to create an intense, ever-changing battlefield that challenges players' tactical and strategic skills. Key features: map generation. Maps are procedurally generated with diverse terrain, resources and structures, offering a unique experience in every map. Match. Maps have a fog of war mechanic where parts of the map are initially shrouded and players must explore to reveal them. So I think just this alone is something that's completely new to the genre. Like, the maps, yes, you can create custom maps and there are obviously a set of tournament maps, but you've never gone into the map not knowing what exactly it's going to look like, and I feel like that's one key feature that would really keep Command & Conquer, a new Command & Conquer, fresh. So I really, really like this idea. I think it's solid to keep things fresh. The next one is resource scarcity. So resources are distributed randomly across the map, which makes sense if the map's procedurally generated, encouraging players to explore and control key areas. Randomized resource fluctuations over time add a dynamic element, forcing players to adapt their strategies. And I really like this because basically what this is saying is that the random resource that you get can either be like regrowing fast or slow which means that if you're on, say, like a resource node that's not producing as much Tiberium, it would force you to sort of move around the map more than you would just be able to be turtling up on that resource area that you found. Base building. Players start with a small mobile base unit. Bases can be constructed anywhere on the map, but players must strategically choose their location based on resource availability and strategic positioning. Now, it doesn't go into like big detail about this. The way that I had it was like a traditional battle royale where there's maybe like a ship or there's like planes that come over the map, and you deploy out of it, and you can see basically where people are slowly starting to go, and as you get closer and closer to the map, you start to see more and more and more of some of the strategic points that are in it that you'd be interested in. And you could either, you know, go next to somebody and literally start building on their face and having a flat out war, or you could go, you know, somewhere a bit further in the map and be by yourself. Now, you know, there could be some really frustrating strategies that could come off the back of this, and I think, you know, if somebody's like really far away or they haven't attacked, then maybe there could be like a beacon that gets told to all the other players, hey, this guy's camping, or hey, this guy's building up a lot of resource or whatever. You know, maybe there could be some things that happen in the map that give you a bit of an awareness of like what's going on, so that people within the map can react to it. But I still feel like this concept of just, you know, coming into the map, choosing where you want to deploy, not knowing what the map is, it would just create so much variance in an RTS game that has never been seen before. And if it has, and I'm not aware of it, then let me know, because RTS fatigue is real. I definitely have got it, in the sense that just traditional RTS games are boring. I can go back to Command & Conquer for nostalgia, but I would really, really like to have something that had this much variance in it. Next up is unit recruitment. So units and structures can be produced by the player's base. Unit availability can be influenced by random events or weather conditions that affect production rates. I actually love this idea. I didn't even think of this. So I think the way that this could work is that you would go into the map and you don't know whether it's going to be raining, snowing, whether it's going to be really hot, whatever it's going to be. And depending on that weather effect, it could make certain units unavailable. So for example, if you're on a really snowy map, no one can use bikes. If you're on, you know, maybe a really, really wet map, then maybe tanks will move slower, stuff like that. Just things that just make it so that you have to kind of mix up your strategy a little bit. I think that'd be really cool. Random events and random weather events such as storms, fires, or resource surges can impact gameplay and force players to adjust their strategies on the fly. These events can provide both challenges and opportunities for players. Again, just more, you know, effects that happen in the game. Really, really like that idea. Keeps it spicy. Battle Royale mechanics. Players are dropped onto the map from an aircraft starting with minimal resource and units. I literally just said this. I actually read this before creating this video, and I didn't actually see that bit. So that's quite cool that Chatgbt was kind of thinking of the same thing that I was. The player area gradually shrinks over time, pushing players towards the center of the map and promoting confrontations. I'm not really too sure how this works. I feel like if you were playing like a battle royale where you don't have any MCV, then maybe. I suppose the battle royale mechanic for me was more on the side of the way that you get into the game and then you start it, but not necessarily a zone that would come in and force you to kind of move your base. I'm not sure how, you know, good that would be. I mean, unless you're literally picking up your whole base in one go and you're able to move it. Again, based off of map, I think the way that needs to be coded would be really, really difficult. So I actually don't think this bit particularly would be easiest to implement. So maybe we'd avoid that. Eliminated players can choose to spectate the match or take on a different role, like controlling environmental hazards or supporting remaining players as a rogue faction. This kind of really reminds me, and this is a bit left field, but this reminds me of when you play Bomberman, and when you die you can have it so that revenge is on, so that you can like throw bombs into the map of the remaining players, and if you get them then you can come back into the game. I know this is not saying that you're going to come back into the game, but it's kind of like that thing where you can kind of impact it, and I actually don't like that much in Bomberman. So my thoughts is that I don't think I'd like it if a player that I've beaten could then impact the match even further and tried to finish me off almost like a bit of a revenge. So cool idea, not one I would personally go forward with. Alliance of diplomacy, so players can form alliances with others that can be broken or changed at any time. Potentially a cool idea, maybe a game mode, but if I think about, and again maybe left field, but the mobile game, the Battle Royale mobile game Brawl Stars from Supercell, then on that game you can kind of like spin around in a circle and be friends and then just, you know, break the alliance straight away. And what with having force fire and stuff in an RTS and that, yeah, maybe a game mode, but not a big fan of that. Diplomacy and negotiation becomes important as players must decide when to cooperate and when to betray. Again, you know, it could be a game mode. Wouldn't be something that I'd be interested in, but could be a game mode. Victory conditions, the last player or alliance standing wins the match, obviously. Alternatively, players can achieve victory by completing certain objectives like building a super weapon or controlling a specific resource rich area. Again, could be interesting, but that sounds more like a game mode, like a capture the flag or capture the point or king of the hill or something like that. You know, and maybe you don't actually launch into the map, you know, you all start off, and the way that you start the game is a bit different. Progression system, players earn experience to unlock new factions, units and customization options through gameplay. Again, love this idea, I think it's good. You know, if you're going to play non-ranked, then fine. If you're going to play ranked, the problem is you draw a really fine line between how people unlock these and then whether it's considered pay to win or play to win. Pay to win, obviously you pay for some stuff to get this, that would be well considered pay to win. It'll piss people off, don't like that idea at all. Play to win could be that you unlock things the more that you play. So if you go against somebody who's got that stuff unlocked, then potentially they'd have an advantage over you. I think that there could be some other way of unlocking different things to keep the game spicy. Not, you know, you'd have to tread really, really carefully with this and how you'd implement it well into an RTS system to keep it fresh. If I had it my way, I think it would just be like random cards or different like mods that you could potentially apply to different units that would give, you know, a buff but also a negative. So you could have it so that you've got rocket bikes, but you have thicker tires on those bikes so they can, you know, they move faster across all different terrain types, but they take more damage. So you can do a little bit more hit and run, but then if the other player does actually get you, then they blow up more quickly and stuff like that. You know, I think that the important thing to do with something like this is for every positive there should be some sort of negative as well, so that it gives players something to think about when they want to try and have an advantage one way, but it actually gives them a negative another way. Cosmetic items can be unlocked, encouraging player engagement and retention. Again, I love this idea, I think it's great. You know, in an RTS game you draw a fine line between too much cosmetics and it can be difficult to identify what that unit is. So I feel like, you know, if you have a unit, its, you know, main look and feel has to be fairly on point, but it's, you give it enough of a cosmetic so that it still feels different and you can kind of show off, you know, some cool skins. And it might be that it's like on your MCV or on your character or your rank or whatever. Regular updates, frequent updates introduce new maps, factions and random events to keep the game fresh and engaging. Love that. The conclusion from Chatgbt is that Command & Conquer Battlefield Royale reimagines the traditional RTS genre by infusing it with the excitement and unpredictability of a battle royale. The combination of random elements, dynamic maps and player-driven strategies ensures that no two matches are the same, making it a captivating experience for both seasoned RTS veterans and newcomers to the genre. I actually think that this was a very good, you know, stab at an idea for an RTS game. I really like the idea of it. I think that something like this would keep a game fresh if it was managed in the right way. I'm not saying that this is an easy thing to build. If, you know, if anyone's a developer out there, you might be looking at this going, do you realise how long that's going to take, son? And I completely understand. It's just my thoughts on what I think would be a really cool game to see, ideally before I'm 40, which in the room is about 8 years away. But if you like this concept or have thoughts or ideas of what you'd like to see in a Command & Conquer, let me know. This was just my thoughts. Appreciate you checking out the video. Feel free to check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks guys, peace.